Good morning. It is 7:02 a.m. on Tuesday, October 12th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. I have been sitting here not wanting to start the video yet just because it's very humid here today. It's foggy outside and it translates to humid inside, and I'm just sitting here feeling sticky and blah, and not especially feeling like I want to turn off my fan and start talking. But, sometimes that's how it goes. So, because I talked about the the different days it was yesterday, I will add that if you didn't notice that in the podcast notes, I did in fact look up the reasons for the days, the various things all being the same day. And, the short version is that it's basically like it's a coincidence but not an accident, if that makes sense. Like they came to be on the same day independently. To answer another question, I believe there was a parade of some kind, but then also this weekend, here in Boston anyway, Monday was the Boston Marathon, which usually would be in April, but was delayed this year for mysterious reasons. Why? What could it have been in April? Anyway, uh, so yeah. But the other thing that happened over the weekend is that I finally finished the expansion, the Iki Island expansion for Ghost of Tsushima, and got the platinum trophy generally on that game, and I like it. It's a good game. But definitely with those sorts of open world games, I have a little bit of a perfectionist tendency where I want to get all the things. And I remember, one of the few open world games where I didn't do that was Witcher 3, but that's just because that game, like, to get the platinum trophy is just ridiculous in that game. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay. But yeah, I managed it with Ghost of Tsushima and enjoyed it a lot. But it's one of those things where the last couple of trophies are almost always going to not be story stuff, but rather just running around getting all of the collectibles. And you can, it has a number of tools in that game that make it easier to find them. And that's useful, especially on PlayStation 5, where fast traveling around has virtually no loading time. You're just pop, pop, pop. All these different locations just grabbing the stuff. And it makes it fast, but also at the same time makes it very video gamey, even beyond other things that are video gamey in that game, which is fine, but it just also just sort of begs the question of like, maybe you don't need quite all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I think you could trim that stuff by 25% and nobody would miss it. That's my thinking anyway. But, yeah. But when you finish a game that way, after playing it for a long time, there becomes this, that feeling like when you're expecting there to be another step and there isn't. You just sort of, like, you've been playing it for so long, that's just what you do now, and now it's over? What do you mean? But what will I do? Where will I go? Well, it turns out I have other games. I did start Metroid Dread last night, and I like it a lot, although I have one nitpick that's kind of maybe a little bit more than a nitpick, even though it's ultimately kind of just a very trivial thing. And what it is that the mini map, when you enter a room, shows the shape of the room in outline, and then as you move through it, it fills out little bits of it for where you've been. This is very common. It's the way that Metroid maps have worked, going all the way back to Super Metroid. But the problem is that the amount of the room that it fills in when you enter it is so kind of high resolution by comparison that, for example, if you have just like one long hallway and you just run down it without jumping up, boom, 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 like that, it'll have like a streak on the mini map where it's not filled in. And for example, if you go into another room and you don't like actually make a point of like jumping up into every corner and getting as close as you can to every single little corner, it'll show like the little corners as you haven't been in those. And the thing is, like, that's not a super fun way to play the game. But if you don't, then you have all of these spots on the map where it looks like you haven't been, and that's kind of irritating. I haven't read a lot of reviews of the game because I knew I was going to get it anyway, but I wonder if other people have called that out. Anyway, back to work today, so I'm going to leave it there, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.